No, not amazed, a mage. I'm gonna be a mage, you know, magic hands. Nah, dude, that's a gynecologist. Look, just pick a job for your character. This should get us in the vibe for today's show. A bunny herder isn't a real job. A bunny herder isn't a job. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and make your character a warrior, okay? We'll randomize our skill points and go with the flow. Big TV, you ask so many questions. I mean, why are sprites like you and I even playing a gaming system? Couldn't we just, like, walk outside and learn about RPGs or something?
Oh, hey guys, I think I found a crystal.
I mean, that's just bad writing. Oh, fear not, my friend. My spells and cunning shall protect us as we begin the remarkable journey of the great mage, Flame Dog, and his humble sidekick, TV Trius. Wait, what? Oh, you gotta be f***ing kidding me. No, I don't want to check out your codpiece. Oh, that's nice. Wait here, I think I see some lemons I can squeeze into my eyes. Wait, Big TV, what's this? Thieves? A princess in peril? A wonderful city pierced by the sharp lance of evil? I say, chum, so begins our adventure here, and thus begins today's game in review. Yeah, I know it's metallic. It's a glorious, crystalline bundle of what to love about early Japanese role-playing games. An entry in one of the most beloved running series, it's a critical hit that bow-tied a genre for a great console generation. Often overshadowed by its two very popular predecessors, Final Fantasy IX is a fantastic video game that is kind of getting the recognition it deserves more recently. For some reason, it's stuck in some bizarre back-pocket limbo. Those who know it often celebrate its qualities. Those who don't, well, look, they need to climb onto their finest bred chocobos, grab a couple tasty elixirs, and just sally forth. Final Fantasy IX was released back in July of 2000. In it, you control a mixed bag of adventurers as they gain levels, get better equipment, learn new abilities, and unravel the big mysteries of a world in conflict. General JRPG stuff. Now, if the execution of the game's plot and gameplay loop sound overly familiar today, they really weren't anything drastically new at the time of the game's release either. In fact, Final Fantasy IX harkens way back to its roots in 1987 on the Famicom. It picks at the big buffet of ideas that were planted back in the original Final Fantasy. Things like the turn-based fighting system, the use of character classes, and the medieval fantasy aesthetic with that tinge of Eastern charm. Creator Hironobu Sakaguchi produced an experience in Final Fantasy IX that is very much a love letter to the series' beginnings. In fact, he said that the title is the closest to his ideal view of what Final Fantasy should be. Pretty cool, huh? And what an awesome way to wrap up the lifespan of an amazing RPG machine, the original Sony PlayStation. Final Fantasy IX is arguably the high watermark for what I guess you could call traditional turn-based AAA RPGs. Wait, we'll discover more on that later. Big TV and I have a few traditional RPG discoveries of our own to deal with first. Oh, excuse me, ma'am? Did you hear someone shouting a little while ago? You see, we're heroes. We're trying to appreciate older RPGs for this review thing, and... Oh my. Just a sec, buddy. Hi? Where's the pretty lady? Bye. Hey, good work, pal. You found us a shop. The Great Flame Dog requires a rod of mythic proportions. Scroll to the bottom, Big TV. The only stuff worth buying is always at the bottom.
Yeah, listen to the flamin' doggy.
It's Flame Dog. Flame Dog. Flame Dog. What? The shop's closed? Did you buy anything? How can an old head of cabbage be the most expensive item? God, we've been ripped off. Oh, another scream. Oh, closer this time. Oh, about a half a game commentary away. Hey. Story time! Final Fantasy IX. Let's get an itty-bitty taste of plot, shall we? The prosperous kingdom of Alexandria is one of several lands raised above mysterious toxic mist which envelopes and, in some cases, powers part of the world of Gaia. During a spectacular royal performance in Alexandria, a flock of thieves set on kidnapping a young royal figure, Princess Garnet. Instead of resisting her kidnappers, the princess pushes her way into the thieves' getaway ship quicker than they can say Stockholm Syndrome. Why is that? Well, it seems all is not well in Alexandria. The kingdom is slowly flexing its military muscle, absorbing surrounding cities, and the princess is on the case. It's join in or be wiped out as Garnet's mother, the Queen of Alexandria, plucks at the territories of the world, one siege at a time. More and more questions bubble up as Princess Garnet notes her mother's uncharacteristically aggressive actions. How can a queen that was once supposedly so kind-hearted develop an insatiable hunger for land and power? Garnet and a mishmash team of nobles, thieves, and tag-alongs won't rest until they find out. Now, that's more of an article, a little sampling from the first few hours of Final Fantasy IX, and let me say, the broad story is decent by JRPG standards. It's certainly delivered with the cinematic panache that many Final Fantasy games are known for, but I want to tell you something else about story here. Shh, scoot closer. What makes Final Fantasy IX really compelling isn't exactly the big picture, it's the little stories that make up the heart of the game. These wonderful pieces that are brought to you by an eclectic, electric-beating cast of do-gooders, hooligans, and existentialists. If Final Fantasy IX was a chocobo, the characters would be the luscious greens fueling that big chicken. Can we make that a little creepier? Thank you. Seriously though, there's such an amazing roster of interesting players in this plot, I barely know where to start. There's Princess Garnet, who's pushing away her pampered, guided life to decorrode her kingdom. There's Steiner, a white knight with a pickle stuck up his nether regions, whose character and likability shine through his interactions with others. There's Vivi, the childlike wizard that is trying to wrap his mind around life, death, and fitting into a world that might not be for him. There's Freya, a warped warrior longing for a piece of the past, striving to protect the present and future for her people. There's even the group of thieves that in any other game would likely be reduced to ne'er-do-well story fat, but here they're charming, funny, and useful. And hey, you know what? I haven't even spoken about the fucking main protagonist of the game yet. If you haven't experienced this rogues gallery, please do. There's plenty more cast to label and parade around, but spoken word doesn't do it justice here. What does help spotlight the colorful folk of Final Fantasy IX is the Active Time Event, or ATE system. It's a little extra sauce that allows you, the player, to follow characters as they branch off, often having these little unique moments in different locales. Sometimes ATEs are necessary to watch, sometimes they're optional, sometimes you can pick from several ATE choices and miss out on others. It's a pretty good way to dole out crumbs of cast personality and inspire a return playthrough, and like how I've mentioned that these playable peoples Voltron together to heighten the story of Final Fantasy IX, the ATE system is one of several gameplay devices that come together to heighten the JRPG gameplay experience. Another notable addition is skills and spells, which are gained through equipment use. This is brilliant, because it makes players care about using equipment that may not benefit a party member's overall stats. But man, look, cool spells and abilities sit in all kinds of items. And part of this tactical equipment leveling is that benefits aren't unlocked through normal experience points. They unlock through ability points. You get these just like experience experience points after battle, but you can get them in other ways that heighten gameplay too, like helping out enemies instead of killing them, which gives you large chunks of AP. It's like they took the seeds tucked into more than a decade of JRPG mechanics, tweaked those systems, and allowed them to flower beyond the standardized canopy in things like gameplay, storytelling, character development, and they locked everything together in such a well-woven package. There's a lot more good to talk about here too. Plenty of mini-games, missions off the beaten path, fantastic pre-rendered backgrounds that, between you and me, would be brilliant if redone in HD. There's the aptly medieval fantasy soundtrack that's often shelled with this melancholy feeling. Look, Final Fantasy IX isn't perfect. It's a slow burn in the beginning and pretty heavy on world building. I kinda like that, but I figure it's not for everyone. I certainly don't enjoy 9's limit break trance system, which needs more depth for sure. Also, I would argue that some antagonists borrow a bit too much from past baddies and, unfortunately, aren't nearly as memorable as those that they evoke. But to me, these are all tiny scuffs in the wonderful tapestry that recalls the breadth of the earlier parts of Square's Final Fantasy history. The turn-based, time-based battles are here, there are plenty, and they're good. The famous summons and cutscenes are on full display, there's a whole huge world to comb and discover, but Final Fantasy IX levels up its characters and mechanics in such great ways that it deserves to be more than just this well-reviewed game that some of us keep to ourselves. So, I have to ask you, have you played Final Fantasy IX? Maybe you should. It's well worth the journey. A rediscovery of old-school JRPGs with so much more. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm almost positive we heard the shout coming through the brush over here, right, buddy? Right? TV Trius. Big TV? I'm better off doing a crappy escort mission, you piece of scrap. Hello?
Sorry, I'm a little jumpy. I was hunting this gnarly dragon. Think I scared it away, which is good for him, because I bought the most expensive weapon in the item shop.
Aw, man.
We're very proud to be here today to award a true hero and to show that good things come from tight packages. So Tivitrius, it is my honor to present you this golden trophy for Best Bunny Herder, a super legit and totally real deal job.
Yeah. Welcome to the club.